Hey guys, thanks for watching Beyond Science. It's Mike Chen. You know, once upon a time, there was a folktale called The Green Children of Woolpit. It's the story of two strange children who mysteriously appeared in the wolf pit of a small village in England. But what makes them strange isn't that they spoke a different language or that they're not used to seeing sunlight. It's not even because they refuse to eat anything except raw beans. It's mainly because they have green skin. Now, folks back then were already not very open-minded about people who are different, so imagine showing up looking like somebody not from China but Mars. So where did it come from? Why are their skins green? Why are they speaking in an unknown language? What will be their fate? Will it be a happily ever after for them? And in order to find the answers to these questions, this 12th century English folktale deserves to be retold for the fact-checking generation. So here it is. This is a retelling of the Green Children of Woolpit. Once upon a time, in Bury Street, Edmonds, Suffolk in 12th century England, during the reign of either King Stephen from 1135 to 1154 AD or King Henry II from 1154 to 1189 AD. The story of the Green Children of Woolpit were recorded in separate but near similar chronicles of two scholars. One was written by Abbot Ralph of Coggeshall and was included in the English Chronicle manuscript, which he took over from 1187 until his last signed entry in 1224. In his version, the children were brother and sister, who was found by the villagers near the mouth of a wolf pit. They were human in form, all except for the green color of their skin. The children were later on brought to the house of a knight named Sir Richard de County, where they were offered shelter and food. However, they wouldn't touch anything that was served to them despite their great hunger, all except, well, raw beans. In fact, that was all they ate for a very long time. Although they shared the same meal, the two children, however, wouldn't share a similar fate. The boy wasn't able to adapt to their new life in Woolpit. He fell into depression, refused to eat, and eventually succumbed to death. On the other hand, the girl gradually grew used to eating different kinds of food. As a result, her skin lost its green tinge and she successfully blended in quite literally with the people of the village. After learning how to speak English, she described the place where she was from as veiled in perpetual dusk, where they saw almost no sun. She also revealed that where she's from, everything is colored green, including the people, just like her and her brother. When asked about how the two of them ended up in the wolf pit, she said they were watching over their flocks when they heard the melodic sound of bells coming from inside a cavern. But when they followed the sounds, their senses were overwhelmed by the blinding light of the sun and the sudden change in temperature, and when they came to, they were in the wolf pits. She said they were startled by the noise around them and tried going back where they came from, but the entrance of the cavern wasn't there anymore. The girl continued to stay with the knight that took them in, as Abbot Ralph affirms, noting in his records that he personally heard this from Sir Richard and his family. He also mentions that she received the rites of baptism, implying that her actions and beliefs now follow the moral standards of the times. But ironically, he also points out that she was rather loose and wanting in her conduct. Now, the second version of the story was by an English historian named William of Newburgh, who was at first, according to Thomas Knightley's 1884 book, The Fairy Mythology, a skeptic. But after he was at length overcome by the weight of evidence, although what evidence it was he doesn't make any mention in his chronicles, wrote about the Green Children in the History of English Affairs. While Williams's version shares a lot of similar details with Abbot Ralph's, like the sudden appearance of the children, the boy eventually getting sick and dying, and the girl telling the villagers where they came from, there are a few details that either wasn't in the first version or entirely contradicts it. In Williams's records, the girl said they were from a twilight place called St. Martin's Land, named after their patron saint. She describes the place as having many churches with its residents of the Christian faith. She says that St. Martin's Land also doesn't receive much sunlight, but across the river they can see a very bright country. And after crossing the river and cutting through the dense forest, they found themselves at Woolpit. Also in this version, the girl got married. She married a man named Richard Barr, an ambassador of King Henry II. She changed her name to Agnes Barr and settled down in King's Lynn at Norfolk. However, some scholars refute this information, citing that the only Richard Barr in King Henry II's court was a former archdeacon who later on retired as a canon, which makes it highly unlikely that he ever married. But unfortunately, in both versions, that's how the story abruptly and anticlimactically ends. Of course, hearing the story straight out, it seemed like the girl was from an entire different world. But some say St. Martin's Land could have been Forham Street Martin, a town north of Bury Street, Edmonds. The cavern in Abbot Ralph's story could have been any of the entrances to the flint mines in the area, and the bells they heard could have been from the sound of Neolithic flints inside the mines. The children could have been Flemish immigrants who fled from Forham St. Martin to Woolpit through the mines and across Thetford Forest to escape persecution from King Henry II, which also explains why they spoke a different language. The sun in William's story could have been blocked by the tall trees in Thetford Forest, and the wide river separating St. Martin's Land and Woolpit could have been the Lark River. Or it could be, as Robert Burton hypothesized in his book, The Anatomy of Melancholy, that the children simply fell from heaven, setting forth in motion the theory that they're extraterrestrials. This was picked up by astronomer Duncan Lennon in 1996, whose theory was that the children accidentally teleported to Earth from another planet, which would basically also explain the green color of their skin. But as fun as it is to find tangible pieces of evidence to prove that the folktale of the green children of Woolpit is real, it's also kind of fun deciphering the symbolisms used in this story. In literature, green is commonly used to describe two sides of the same coin. It can be used to describe sickness, as in when we say sickly green, but we can also use it to represent health and vitality, as in when we say fresh greens. In Celtic mythology, green is associated with the green man, a decorative archaeological motif used in pagan temples and later on also in medieval churches, who represents the cycle of life. Shakespeare used green to symbolize young love, as in the green pastorals of A Midnight Summer's Dream, or jealousy, as in the green-eyed monster in Othello. But at the end, all we can do is speculate whether the children were really from another world, or they were just green because they were malnourished. Because some say their green skin is simply explained away by chlorosis, which is often caused by poor diet and lack of nutrition, resulting in the reduced delivery of healthy red blood cells to the tissue, and that's why the girl's skin lost its green tinge as soon as she started eating other fruits aside from raw beans. But hey, unless we're able to invent a time machine, I guess we'll never know. I mean, at least for me, is it possible that they did come from another world? Do other worlds, other dimensions, alternate realities exist? Personally, I think so, but let me know what you guys think. Do you think the green children of Woolpit is just an overblown story? Or do you think they actually came from another world? Maybe Neverland? Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. And I know I did this story before in a list style, but I had more information, so I kind of wanted to make a whole new video about it. So hopefully you liked it. Thank you again so much for watching. I'll see you later.